Hello, true crimers, and welcome to Only Murders and the Missing, a podcast presented by UQ Criminal. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of true crime. In each episode, we'll take a deep dive into the story, unraveling the mystery and uncovering the cases that still haunt us. Through our podcast, we will shed light on the victims, honoring their memories and seeking justice on their behalf. Beyond storytelling, we are advocates for the missing and the murdered, lending our voices to those who can no longer speak for themselves. So, grab your headphones and prepare to join our mission. Are you ready? Welcome to Only Murders and the Missing. Episode 17. The baffling disappearance of 6-year-old Timmothy Pitzen, Aurora, Illinois. In May of 2011, a mother disappeared with her child, only to later be found dead and her son nowhere to be found. 6-year-old Timmothy James Pitzen was dropped off at his school in Aurora, Illinois on May 11, 2011 by his father, James Pitzen. Timothy hopped out of his dad's Jeep and made his way toward his kindergarten classroom, carrying his Spider-Man backpack. Little did they know that this would be their last goodbye. "I told him I loved him and to be good. And then he was gone," James said. An hour after he arrived, Timothy was taken away from the school by his mother, Amy Pitzen. She took the boy on a last-minute weekend road trip that was portrayed as a fun mother-son getaway to some amusement parks. But a few days later, in an ordinary motel room within the city of Rockford, Illinois, a heart-wrenching discovery was made. Amy was dead. Amy's life ended in a devastating act of suicide. She left behind a very cryptic and terrifying note that has baffled law enforcement and all those who loved Timothy. The note implied that Timothy was safe, yet it cruelly declared that he would forever remain hidden. Timothy's fate remains a mystery. When James returned at the end of the school day, that's when he was informed that his son had already been picked up by someone else. Shortly after Timothy was dropped off at school, his mother, Amy, arrived unexpectedly. She checked him out of class between 8:10 and 8:15 a.m., claiming that there was a pressing family emergency and needed to pick Timothy up immediately, which wasn't true. As the day progressed, Amy's behavior continued to raise alarms. At 10 a.m., she left her vehicle at a repair shop. Following their visit to the repair shop, a kind employee offered Amy and her son a ride to the Brookfield Zoo. They enjoyed their time there before returning to the shop to reclaim their vehicle at 3 p.m. From there, they made their way to the Key Lime Cove Resort in Gurnee, where they spent the night. The next day, May 12th, the mother and son drove to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. Amy was captured on security footage with her little boy as they stood in the checkout line at 10 a.m. the following day. This was the very last sighting of Timothy. Even before he went missing, his family was well aware of his mother's struggles with profound depression and emotional instability. Despite her challenges, Amy appeared to be a compassionate and devoted mother to her son. However, Amy's prolonged battle with depression put a strain on the couple's marriage. Just before Timothy disappeared, James and Amy had discussed getting a divorce. James gave Amy an ultimatum and told her he intended to fight for sole custody of their son. Concerned about the sudden turn of events, James wasted no time contacting Amy by phone. Unfortunately, she did not respond to any of his calls. James also contacted Amy's nearby relatives, but none of them knew where she was. On the 12th of May, when his unanswered phone calls began to mount, James reported Amy and Timothy as missing. Then, on the afternoon of May 13th, a significant series of phone calls took place. Amy reached out to various family members, but instead of contacting her worried husband, she made a call to his brother. During that conversation, James's brother claimed that he could hear the sound of Timothy playing in the background and telling his mother he was hungry. However, there was one phrase from that conversation that Amy distinctly uttered: "Timothy is fine. Timothy belongs to me. Timothy and I will be fine. Timothy is safe." Amy also called her mother and told her, "We're fine. We'll be home in a day or two. I just need some time to figure out and try to think about how to approach this." She reassured her that her grandson was not in danger. Amy's phone calls intensified everyone's determination to find Timothy. The origin of these calls was coming from an area northwest of Sterling, Illinois, near Route 40. This information finally gave authorities a lead in the search for the missing duo. Surveillance footage shows Amy and Timothy checking into hotels near amusement parks across Illinois and Wisconsin over the span of 3 days. After spending time at Kalahari Resorts in Wisconsin, the mother and son traveled south 120 miles into Illinois. On the evening of May 13th, Amy was captured on security cameras at a Family Dollar store in Winnebago, Illinois. She was alone. She purchased a pen, paper, and envelopes which she used to write letters to family members. Later, at 8 p.m., she was spotted shopping at Sullivan's food store, and at 11:15 p.m., she checked into the Rockford Inn. Tragically, sometime that night or the following morning, she took her own life. At 12:30 p.m. on May 14th, Amy's lifeless body was discovered by a hotel maid. She had cuts on her neck and wrists, and she had overdosed on antihistamines. In the note that lay beside her, Amy expressed her remorse for the situation she had created, and she apologized. She revealed that Timothy would never be found, but that he was safe with people who would take good care of him. In one final chilling statement, she wrote, "You will never find him." There was no evidence suggesting Timothy's was ever inside the motel room. He had vanished without a trace, and no sightings or communications have occurred since. During the investigation, police discovered that the knife Amy had used to end her own life contained only her blood. However, a troubling amount of blood found in her car was initially thought to belong to the missing child. A family member later disclosed that the stains were likely a result of the boy's nosebleed that had occurred in the car earlier that month. Another significant detail emerged during the investigation. Amy's cell phone was missing. In 2013, her cell phone was found alongside Route 78. Unfortunately, the phone did not yield any new evidence that could assist in the search for Timothy. Law enforcement came across a series of perplexing clues when searching Amy's vehicle. Underneath the rear bumper, they discovered fragments of long weeds, including Queen Anne's lace and black mustard weed. Through forensic analysis, precise locations where Amy had driven began to emerge. Amy deviated from the main road for a specific purpose. Was it to dump the body of her murdered son, or was she meeting up with someone she trusted to take care of him? Despite extensively searching these remote locations, no substantial evidence was ever found. According to Amy's cell phone and iPass records, she most likely drove west on I-88, taking exit 44 into Sterling, Illinois. She even made phone calls between Sterling and Mount Carroll. Toll records also revealed that Amy had made 2 trips to the Sterling area months earlier. She had also purchased new clothing and toys for Timothy before their ill-fated journey. None of these items were ever recovered. Timothy's cherished Spider-Man backpack was never found either. Forensic analysis revealed that Amy stopped her car somewhere in northwest Illinois, likely near a body of water, before returning to Rockford alone. However, the exact location remains unknown. Investigators speculate that Amy might have taken James's threat to get full custody of Timothy seriously, prompting her to place him under the care of another family. Ultimately, her final inexplicable act leaves us with unanswered questions about the mystery surrounding Timothy's disappearance. In the days following her death, 2 letters arrived in the mail, not to her husband, but to Amy's mother and a close friend. In those letters, Amy expressed deep sorrow, sharing that she had never felt she truly belonged in the world, and while she had felt connected to Timothy, in the end, that wasn't even enough. To this day, James is adamant that Amy would never harm their son. She would never do anything to hurt him. No, never, he says. Hannah Sukup, a friend and classmate of Timothy's, didn't know he was missing until she was 11 years old. All she knew was that one day he was there and the next he was gone. Now, she's issuing a heartfelt plea to anyone who might be hiding him. My message would be to let him go because it's unfair to him to make him live a lie for the rest of his life because he likely doesn't even know who he is, she said. It's so unfair that he was taken from the rest of his family because his mother had ulterior motives. James wrote a letter to his son, hoping he's still out there, alive, and will one day reach out to let his family know he's safe. Dear Timothy, the years apart have been hard. I am so looking forward for us to be reunited. There is so much of your young life I have not been able to be a part of while you have been missing. The future is bright, and I look forward to spending time with you and getting to know my son again. Till I see you again. Love, Dad. So, what really happened to this precious boy? Was his mother speaking metaphorically when she said he was with people who would take care of him and that he was safe? Did she take his life? And if not, who has him? And why haven't they come forward? As the search continues, the hope is that one day the truth will be uncovered, finally shedding light on the fate of a young boy who has been absent for far too long. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a computer-generated image depicting what Timothy might look like at the age of 19. If you have any information about the disappearance of Timothy Pitzen, please contact the Aurora Police Department at 630-256-5516. If you or someone you know needs mental health support, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Are you addicted to true crime? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. To connect with me and read more true crime stories, go to unquestionablycriminal.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.